1 February 2023, and today we're going to look at the 7 proposals by the CCC on what needs to be changed within the Zimbabwe Electoral Acts. So what is happening is that there is currently a bill before Parliament in which various proposals have been made, and this was spearheaded through Pollard for electoral reforms. And the CCC is not happy with these reforms, and they want to include these 7 changes to these amendments which are before Parliament. And I'm going to quickly run through them. You can see the letter that has been written by CCC spokesperson Mahere on Zimbabwe2023elections.com for more details. So in short, what they want, the CCC, and which they've communicated today in a meeting with the Zimbabwe Minister of Justice, is number 1, they want the legal framework for the diaspora vote and also for persons with disabilities, and then for people who are going to be on duty on the day of the election. So people like soldiers and police, they want a provision for these people to be able to vote before the election somehow, and also for people in the diaspora to vote. Then they also want a mandatory voter registration blitz. Obviously, I think this means that they want everyone in the country to be forced to register to vote. Number 2, they want an electronic and auditable voters roll, and this must be made available and it must also be audited. That is what they want. Number 3, they want all those people who are going to be assisted to vote to be recorded in advance. So if there are old people who cannot write, people who cannot see, and so forth, these people must be recorded before the actual voting. I don't know how this is going to work. Number 4, they want a mechanism in place to operationalize the ZEC independence. So, as you know, according to law, ZEC is supposed to be independent. The CCC is saying there must be a constitutional conduct eliminating the role of the Minister of Justice in the administrative operations at ZEC and in the promulgation of electoral laws. So I think this is self-explanatory. Number 5, the law must provide for an enforceable electoral code of conduct with punitive measures for all stakeholders who infringe the code, inclusive of candidates, traditional leaders, media, members of the uniformed forces, among others. So they want the code of conduct to be legislated. Then number 6, the law must provide for a credible results management system that includes the physical and electronic transmission of electronic election results and posting them in a public portal. There must be clearly laid out power transfer mechanisms and procedures. Right. This is very, very interesting. There must be clearly laid out power transfer mechanisms and procedures. We're going to come back to this on another day. Number 7, the law must adequately provide for the security of the voter and political freedoms, including by the creation of clear mechanisms to deal with political violence, the restriction of campaign rights, and the strengthening of election dispute handling procedures. The grounds for bringing election petitions must be widened, and technical restrictions must be removed, and focusing more on merit than technical issues. So I want to quickly comment on these reforms by the CCC, and I want to go back to what I said earlier this week, that there is nothing wrong or nothing seriously wrong with the laws in Zimbabwe, the electoral laws. The problem in Zimbabwe is the implementation. That is my view on this. implementation is the problem. If you look at issues like the diaspora vote, these have been tested in court. So obviously, I don't want to go back to this one. Then there are issues like the code of conduct. I don't think those are things that you can legislate. There is too much polarization in the country. So there are various political issues, and then there are various electoral issues. So in my view, even if we were to change the laws, there are a lot of things that need to be done that are not in the law. There are a lot of things that are not in the games of the rule, but which are the soft issues surrounding elections. These are the things that are a problem in Zimbabwe. The actual law provides for the independence of ZEC. But you know the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground is not because of the law. It's because of the environment. And before you address the environmental issues in Zimbabwe, some of the things you cannot address. Also, there are certain expectations from the CCC about how elections should be run, which are not practical. For example, if you look at the issue of election petitions, these are issues that are decided in court. So the CCC needs to understand that elections don't happen on the day of the election. They happen before the day of the election. So issues like registration, you cannot force people to register according to the law of Zimbabwe. So if you say you want mandatory registration, you are going a bit deeper than where you're supposed to go. If you look at issues like what we talked about, the legislation of the code of conduct, we can have a very nice code of conduct here. But when people start beating each other up, or people start getting beaten up in the villages, the code of conduct is just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. So there's a lot of things that need to be sorted out that are not in a piece of paper. And these are the environmental issues, the maturity issues that we need to deal with in Zimbabwe. Otherwise, the laws themselves are okay. We need to educate our people, especially the CCC members. CCC has got a lot of members who don't register to vote. You cannot force these people through a blitz to register. And also, if you look at most of the issues that are raised here, they are to make the CCC win. If these are implemented, they will make the CCC win, or easier to win. This is where people always say, do you think ZANU-PF is going to legislate themselves out of office? And that's a real question. So if I was the CCC, I would not waste my time with all these reforms. I will let these reforms go the way they are and focus on what Chamisa has been doing now, which is going down to the people on the ground, getting his people to go out and vote. Because after we register, we still have to go out and vote. And the voter turnout in the CCC strongholds of Harare and Bulawayo is not as high as it should be. You should be aiming for 90% voter turnout in Harare and Bulawayo and Masvingo and all those places. This is where the focus should be. And also, the CCC has got a lot of time now. They've got a lot of time on social media. They've got a lot of space, more than ZANU-PF. The radio and the TV, they're no longer as effective as before. Right now, people listen more to people on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter than people on ZBC. If you look at the ZBC News Bulletin now, it's got less than 1,000 people watching. So take advantage of this space that has been created, and the CCC will do very well. It's an implementation issue. It's not a legislation issue. That's what the point I'm trying to make here. The reforms are already there. What is left is to implement these laws and these rules of the game. And that won't be easy. That's the difficult part. Thank you very much for watching. Please go to Zimbabwe2023elections.com. It's a draft website. We're working on it. But we're going to be loading as many election documents as possible. And very, very soon, we're going to be having a physical location in Zimbabwe. And as the election draws near, we want to do more. And you'll be seeing a lot more of what we're doing here. The election will be well covered, and we're going to do very, very well this year. 2023 a very interesting year. Election like never before. Thank you very much.